So you mentioned it as saying it's a big game for both clubs. I don't think that we're really looking at it like that. I can see your style playing right into our hands.
All right, hello and welcome to the Matchday Vlogs channel. We're here for another opposition preview, and this time it's for the Tree Derby. But before we get to that, please remember to smash that like button, hit subscribe, because it really does make a difference to the channel. Right, I'm here with Bray, a Nottingham Forest fan. Bray, what are your thoughts generally on the season so far? I mean, obviously we've had a bit of pre-season, we've had the transfer window, and of course, you've had the opening day draw against Bournemouth. What are your general feelings going into the season?
Well, I think it's been quite an interesting pre-season so far. We've not done the sort of crazy business that we have done in the last couple of windows. So like when we first came up, signing God knows how many players, and then last season signing random players. But it just seems like we've gone for quality, and we've got some really good players in. We gave Olympiacos a really good game. We beat them 4-3, absolutely dominated them for about half an hour of that game, and they're like Conference League champions. So yeah, I think that was really good. Bournemouth played. Obviously, they didn't have their main choice striker in because he's not all registered and stuff yet. I think that we
Oh,
played
yeah.
pretty well. Sangare played really well. I'm quietly confident about the season. I don't think that we're going to have to worry about being down there in the dogfight like we were for the past couple of years.
Saturday's game is absolutely massive, I think, for both clubs. But are there any particular players in the Forest lineup that Saints fans should be wary of?
I think my number one to be wary of right now, and this might surprise you, but I think it's Ibrahim Sangare. He
Okay.
was he was honestly he was useless last year. He was so poor. But he was off on Afcon. He was struggling with injuries with that obviously being an Afcon, and he got malaria apparently while he was away at
Okay.
Afcon. And so I mean you can't really blame him for struggling. But pre-season,
It's not really a
absolutely,
footballing injury, that is it? Malaria.
yeah,
Don't
exactly.
often get that.
Yeah, but he's looked absolutely fantastic since coming back, and I think that he could. He was really good on Saturday as well. We were all wondering if he could match what he'd done in pre-season against Bournemouth, and he absolutely did. I think he's definitely one to look out for.
So last season, points deduction, flirting with relegation. You've alluded to the fact that you think things might be a bit different this season. But what are the objectives of Forest this season? What are the general goals?
I think that our objectives this season are to keep a couple of key players, the likes of Morgan Gibbs-White, Callum Hudson-Odoi, Murillo, that sort of thing. Keeping hold of them and just really sort of stabilising as a mid-table club rather than being down battling like we have been. Marinakis is a very ambitious owner. He wants us in Europe as soon as he can, but I think that it's a bit too soon for that. I think a season, maybe 2 or 3 seasons of consistent mid-table building, then maybe we could sign some big players and be up there. But I think that as for this season, I think our objective is just stay up without a fight and be comfortable all season, really.
So on to Southampton actually. I mean, what have you made of Southampton's entrance into the Premier League again? I mean, admittedly, we just had one game that was over the weekend, but I'm not sure if you caught any of the football in the Championship. It was very exciting. There's plenty of games to watch, as we found out. But what are your thoughts on Southampton in general?
Well, I've not seen too much of Southampton, but I don't know what to think of Russell Martin, if I'm being totally honest, because
Hmm.
he reminds me a lot of the company situation last year with Burnley. How play really good possession football, really interesting football to watch, and then come up, don't have the players to do it in the Premier League. And I think it'll be really interesting to see how Southampton get on, because I've heard that you outplayed Newcastle last game, but passing it around a lot isn't going to get you points. It's a really tricky one to sort of think about, but it'll beat some teams. as we saw, because Burnley went on a really good streak towards the end of last season. See, I quite like Russell Martin. I live near Bristol, so I've been to see a couple of Bristol City games. I've seen him at Swansea, so watching Bristol City, and I've seen him at Swansea at Forest the season we went up, when he basically just came and he came to the City ground, and they basically just passed it around the back the entire game just to try and spoil our momentum before going up, because we had, I think it was our third to last game of the season. If we won that game and then beat Bournemouth that following game, then we would be pretty much nailed on going up, because we had Hull last. And they just came and just tried to stop us playing. So I don't suppose I have that much sympathy for him, but I think his style is an interesting one to watch. It'll be interesting to see if you stick with him.
I've got to ask, Bray, what's the connection with Forest? Because I've just had you're in Bristol. Is there like a family connection with the club, or is it just something?
Well, see, I'm not from Bristol. I was born in Manchester.
Okay.
I'm assuming you know where Bury, Blackburn, and Burnley are.
I do indeed.
If you can draw a triangle between them and then get bang in the middle, that's where I grew up. Then I moved down to around Bristol at around 11-ish, sort of start secondary school age.
Yeah.
And so been living around Bristol since.
Okay.
And my dad, absolute lifelong Forest fan. He's born and raised in Hucknall, which is like just in the north of Nottingham. And he's been with Forest. He started supporting in about 74, 75-ish, right while we were in the Championship before Cloughy took over. So he's seen a lot.
He's seen the good times.
Yeah. So when I started supporting football, then I was like, I want to do this with my dad, which I don't know if we're looking at it in terms of success, then maybe that wasn't the best idea, considering I was born basically down the road from Main Road. So I really should be a City fan, given sort of that, but I wouldn't change this for the world.
You certainly shouldn't. I think football with the family is one of the most special things there is. So good on you for that. Good on you. No, that's fantastic. Thanks. I just went off on a tangent there. I just want to hear your story. It's kind of nice to hear.
That's my little story.
So back on to Saturday's game. How do you see it going? And I'm going to challenge you for a score prediction, if I may.
How do I see it going? So you mentioned it as saying it's a big game for both clubs. I don't think that we're really looking at it like that.
Okay.
I hate to sort of put you down like that, but it's I think that we're looking more towards, considering I said that we want to be sort of mid-table, I think that we're looking a lot more towards those other sort of teams that we expect to be mid-table as well, and be thinking let's be winning those games. Okay. We're sort of looking at this one as a bit of a we really should be winning that.
This is a tree derby. It's a tree derby.
Well, it's the Silverdale derby. It's entirely his fault that entire thing existed. But I think to be honest, we're more bothered about getting something over on Ben Brereton than we are on getting over something on Southampton.
Oh, okay.
If I had to give a score prediction, I can see it. I don't know. I think that since we do love a good counter-attack and you're very much possession and building based, I can see your style playing right into our hands. Okay. So that could potentially be like a 2-0 for us, maybe more if we're lucky, but I wouldn't count on it, I suppose.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough.
I don't seem too confident there.
No.
I'm sorry.
It's like you're poised for me to clip this up when you said like 5-0 or something like that later on, but I wouldn't do that. I absolutely wouldn't do that. But how do you see? I mean, how do Forest generally set up at the moment? I mean, I remember watching Forest with Steve Cooper in charge, and it being quite a defensive kind of setup. I mean, has things massively changed?
Well, it has really. Where Nuno's completely different. I mean, it's like we've got so much more variation in our attacking, and I think it's really, really good for us with the way that we've got. He's turned Chris Wood into a new player, which is absolutely fantastic to see. He's just completely different to how he was, if that makes sense. I mean, he scored like I think 3 goals or something under Cooper. Since Nuno came in, he's scored like 11 goals or something like 14 or 15 starts. He's been fantastic. Well, in terms of the way that we actually set up, we tend to attack with wingers because we do always like to have that sort of attacking midfield / wing 3 of Elanga, Gibbs White, Hudson-Odoi. We tend to be a 4-2-3-1, that sort of thing. We always have Murillo in there and then a tall defender next to him. I'm not sure if it's going to be Milenkovic or Bolly, because Bolly played well against Bournemouth. Mm-hmm. But Milenkovic only didn't start that one because he was suspended from one of his Fiorentina games. Mm-hmm. So it could potentially be one or the other. I don't know which one, but it will be Murillo with someone, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, we tend to soak up some pressure and then just go, really. I wouldn't call it defensive because I think that we've started pressing a lot higher. Against Bournemouth, we kept the ball quite a lot rather than being quite so careless with our attacking, like not just hoisting it over the top every time. We look a lot more eager to sort of make our own chances rather than just sort of rolling the dice by just booting it up the pitch. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's sort of how we set up. I know that that's not the simplest explanation.
No, it's every detail helps, and the manuscripts will be going straight to Russell Martin's office so we can adjust accordingly. But Bray, thank you so much for joining us. But before we close that show, let everyone know where they can find you on the socials.
Oh yeah, well, if you'd like to look at my stuff, I do Forest vlogs. I've got, I think I'm at Might Be Bray or at Maybe Bray. I'm at Might Be Bray or at Maybe Bray on pretty much everything. I've got Maybe Bray on YouTube, so I'm sure you can link that in the description or something. Absolutely. I'll be doing a preview to this game with Mike as well. So if you can check that out, then that will be brilliant. Just sort of, I vlog every Forest home game as well, so check some of them out if you want. I mean, I'll be vlogging Southampton at home whenever that is.
Are you coming down to St Mary's at the weekend?
No, sadly not. I've got the best kind of membership.
Oh,
so
okay.
I've not got a season ticket, but I've got the best kind of membership. So I've got guaranteed home tickets, but I can barely ever get away tickets. I would go to away games if I could, but sadly not. I'll probably be doing a match review for that. I'll be doing more previews and stuff on my channel for the rest of the season, which, yeah, should be great.
Thank you so much for joining us. Really do appreciate it. And I'll be sure to put all the links to Bray stuff in the comment section. So please go over there, smash a like, hit subscribe, do all the things and provide support for all fellow football channels. As always, remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, and we'll see you at St Mary's. All right, see ya.